Welcome back to the overanalysis of One Piece. This episode's big plot point is Usopp getting kicked out of the mansion's grounds and finding out about Captain Kuro's plans, but we'll find out soon enough what other details happen during the episode that usually go unnoticed. We left off with our crew of maniacs breaking into a private property to respectfully ask the owner of said property for a ship. There's actually a difference between how Kuro says this line between the beginning of episode 10 and the ending of episode 9. Because in the ending of episode 9, he said it more angrily? Yeah, angrily. After the crew gets reprimanded, this universe's version of Michael Jackson slides into view. Except instead of pursuing a musical career, he invested his time in learning hypnosis for some reason. If you pay attention, Django actually just stares at the sheep for about 16 seconds. After the brief introduction of a character that simply involved moonwalking and having a staring contest with a bystanding sheep, we return to find Tall, Dark, and Handsome making fun of Usopp for his father getting lost on the way to get the milk. Okay, so right here we can see Carrot's head at the height of Zoro's waist, but before he wasn't even visible at all. Also earlier we saw that Zoro was facing Nami, but now he's facing Luffy. Apparently Usopp hit the anti-gravity drone from Repo, because how is he just floating there like that? Once again, Zoro is facing Nami. Carrot is also now shorter than Zoro's waist by a good amount, which is contradicting the previous shot we saw, but it's also helping the other previous shot we saw. And at this shot, we only see Carrot beside Zoro from the tree, but now we see all three of the kids next to him. If you pause while Usopp is speaking here, it looks like he's smiling. Eerily. Editor, zoom in on the Straw Hat group real quick. See, it appears that at least Pepper and Onion are still faintly shown, but Carrot looks like he's just disappeared into the low-quality verse. This shot depicts the tree as large as a small minor Erd tree from Elden Ring. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a big tree, but it wasn't so big that it's completely overshadowing the mansion. Following the confrontation, we see Kaya crying / succumbing to rat lungworm disease when Klahadore returns to serve her dinner over a sob story about his previously pathetic life. That's the same chain sound that played from episode 7 with the unicycle. There's definitely no chain for this cart, but I guess it can make sense because unlike the unicycle, there are dishes on the cart that might be clacking because of either the floor being low quality or the cart being sucky or maybe even both. Except we don't even see any of the dishes shaking at all, so just, I don't know. This one might just be my biggest pointless nitpick yet, but the music here plays just before the backstory scene starts. That kind of ticks me off because all they had to do was play the music like a split second, a little bit later, to sync it up. Maybe they did this because the ending of the music's timing was more important, and to be honest, looking at it, it does look like that might be the case. Kaya grew that much in only 3 years? Well, actually, yeah, it is kind of plausible since she is 19 in current day One Piece, 17 at this point in the story, and 14 in this backstory scene. We all know how puberty works, and maybe her father was really tall as well. I've also seen a few commenters discuss backstory and flashback details I've called out and mentioned that they may be built around the image of the person remembering them. Like how they think about it in their minds. If that's the case, then it appears that we are seeing this from Kaya's perspective since she's being told from Kuro and it's bringing back her memories of the situation. With all that in mind, her dad probably looks so much taller because he was really a big person in this moment to her by being so kind to a stranger. But that's just a theory. We get a better look at the new character, whose name is Django, but I prefer to call him Jekyll Maxim, preparing to harass some children. In the meantime, most of the gang is bumming out on a random fence line. If you slap some scary music over this, it would be straight out of a creepypasta. This shot makes me want to say, yes, Daddy, you'll be in the thumbnail.
1, 2.
How is Carrot going to get hypnotized in the first place? His hair is quite literally blocking the path from his eyes to the ring.
Please keep your dreams alive. Dreams are something you have to believe in.
Usopp is contemplating his life choices leading up to this moment when Luffy D Gravity appears. The D stands for defy. You know, Luffy defy gravity. In my headcanon, they just drew Luffy, turned it upside down, and called it a day right here. Luffy said that hurts? Is Usopp using hockey or something? Anyway, Jaiko Maxon meets up with Clawha Dumbledore. Oh yeah, guys, by the way, if a random hypnotist that walks backwards approaches you in the street and offers you a makeout session, and all you have to do is put him on the thumbnail of one of your videos, be careful, man. I saw one of them doing that to people yesterday. It's a weird world we live in. Once again, the eye catcher's music doesn't line up with the posters that show, but from what I remember, it does that error a few times leading up to the Grand Line. But after that, it's fixed for most of them. While the plan to murder an entire town is discussed, we get an episode of National Geographic. Today's focus, a hermit crab. The cameraman has a strange obsession with this guy's shoes for some reason. You know, he kind of had the potential to be a warlord if he was just ambitious enough instead of doing this whole plot thing. Because later on, like, his fighting techniques have a lot of potential. If he'd learned hockey, which I know he probably didn't know what hockey was, but if he had learned that, then he would have easily been able to apply that to his fighting style and be, like, genuinely someone to contend with. And possibly warlord potential. And then the government wouldn't have been on his back anyway, and he could have just done what he wanted and have been more powerful. Oh yeah, that's also going in the thumbnail. This episode has some good shots. Is that supposed to be a heartbeat? I thought someone was knocking on my door for a second. Yeah. Alright, so between shots here, there isn't a lot of distance consistency because here Django and Kuro are back to back, but the next shot they're further apart. And even worse is that this high shot, they are way farther from each other. Despite the previous distance issue, I must commend them for getting the consistency somewhere else right, because the straw hat is seen next to Luffy in this shot, and before he was shown up close in this position, his hat was also right there, even from a distance in the previous high shot. The background behind him running was reused several times. Case in point, what is it with this guy's shoes needing to show up on the camera this much? I really like what they did to the to be continued screen this episode. First, I want to start off by saying I find it comedic how fewer lies there are in this episode. In the first episode, there were already 12 lies from Usopp. This one only had 2. So I guess they just really wanted to not even double down, but sextuple down on that to introduce his character with the whole lying thing. But other than that, next episode, I believe, is where the action of this arc starts happening. And I've been looking forward to it.